So I had a talk all ready for you. Then I went into my hot tub, and a whole new talk came. And then right before I came, I went on Facebook to post, some stuff that I do in the mornings about the community and that. And I saw a post, and a whole new talk came. So I want you to look at this. Before you read, I want you to look at the man. I want you to be real cautious about that. Do you see how that guy is curled up on that brain? Do you see how he's there and he's whispering into that ear? That's your subconscious mind. So listen to what Eckhart Tolle says here. He says, when you recognize there is a voice in your head that pretends to be you and never stops speaking, you are awakening out of your unconscious identification with a stream of thinking. When you notice that voice, you realize that who you are is not the voice, the thinker, but the one who is aware of it. See, that is the key. That awareness, that observer is the conscious mind. That is when we step outside of the patterns of thought that we've had all of our lives, and we're stepping into our greatness, and we're the observer. So what is this idea that we talk about all the time called self-mastery? Self-mastery is the idea of how do I embrace the observer, the conscious mind, to overcome and direct the unconscious mind. This has been a theme that we've been talking about over and over again because it is the very simple principle. And we're going to go in and describe that. It is the law. Call it the law of cause and effect. Call it the law of reciprocity. Call it the law of giving and receiving. Call it the law of the mirror. Call it the law of substance. Call it the law of Lee. It doesn't matter what you call it. It always works the same. And what it does, it takes the energy. It takes the mental atmosphere is a term that really I have embodied. So everything that you are, everything you've ever thought, everything you've ever said, everything you've ever done creates an energy field around you. That is your mental atmosphere. That mental atmosphere is taken by that aspect that is God, that cannot be separated, but that aspect of God, and it creates experience. So everything in our lives is made up. Everything in our lives is unreal, and it can be changed in every moment by simply starting to shift our mental atmosphere. Now, keep in mind, you can't shift your mental atmosphere to affect another person because they have free choice. Does that make sense? Everyone has free choice. But do you understand, this is the beauty of this teaching, is that you're all here in this magnificent ballroom. You're together listening to this common thing. How come we can have a shared experience? Because there's a mental atmosphere that we've all created together. You see, and the mental atmosphere that we create together creates the type of experience that we have when we come together. So not only do we have the power to create in our individual lives, but we have the power to create in our collective lives. And the idea is, how do I become the observer? So, does anyone have buttons that can be pushed pretty easily? I know I like to think of myself as very pure, and I'm often reminded that I'm not. I'm often reminded that I still have these buttons that I go into a state of judgment. And this morning, politics is that one of those buttons. And someone made a comment that's running for an office, a congressional seat, and they made the comment, well, let's just do this, and I'm taking Jesus to the White House. And I had a thought. I had a lot of thoughts. And so in my mind came, I want to respond to this. And then I thought of the response, and I had this perfect response. And then I had to go back and say, okay, what would the observer say? Not what was my pattern of thought. Not what was that man on top of my mind whispering in my ear, but what was that outer voice saying? What I originally wanted to say was, if you were sitting in a conversation with Jesus and you presented a challenge in your life, would he ask you to go to this page of the Bible and this verse and that would be your answer? Or would he do something different? What I wrote down after considering it was, if you met Jesus and you were having a conversation with Jesus about something going on in your life, he would probably tell you to go within and to love God even deeper than you've loved God, and to love your neighbor even deeper than you love your neighbor now. And he would simply say that love is always the answer. See, there were two very different responses there, and they happen within seconds of each other. The key thing is, how do we get ourselves to be more aware of what is that genuine response? How would love answer this question? That's a question I would ask you to embrace and to build a habit into your life, into thinking. So when you're making a decision and you're looking at something going on in your life and you want to respond to that as opposed to habitually react, you want to ask the question, how would love act in here? How would love respond to this? What would love do in this situation? And it's not that romantic love where you reach over and you take her hand, you squeeze it. Ooh. No, it's not that. It's where you understand that every person is God in expression. And the power that created the universe is present within each and every person, and right where they are fully and wholly self-empowered. And how they're having their experience is not better than or worse than, it's just they're having an experience. Because the idea that we have that we must be alike is the greatest falsity that we've ever been taught. The idea, the truth of the matter is the individual came forth to express and experience itself uniquely as each of us. Therefore, it is to uniquely be as us, which means we can never be like someone else. So we never want to have the same values. We can't have the same values as someone else. We can't speak the way they do. We can't dress the way they do. The idea of society is to put that man around your head and whisper in your ear and say, live over here, have this type of car, wear these type of clothes, drink this type of soda, eat this type of food. That's what that man is doing. Those are habitual thoughts that are taking away our individual freedom, and we, because we're not aware of the power within us, have blindly given them up. Do you see that? From day one, we're conditioned to give them up. And now what I'm saying is no matter where you are on your journey, it doesn't matter what sex you are, what ethnicity, what age you're at, you have the infinite power of God, which is ageless, right within you, that will now respond to you, directed based on how you're thinking, and all you have to do is switch your mental atmosphere. Now, when we have this, and we understand that any thought that we entertain in our mind can feed, build upon, or create a new habit, we now say, I have no time for those thoughts. Did you hear that? I have no time for those thoughts. So if we take this even deeper, it's not only that I have no time for these thoughts, I have no time for words that are out of alignment with what I want. I have no time to be with people who are out of alignment with what I want. I have no time to be in situations or doing things that are not in alignment with what I thought, with what I want. You see, the idea is that when you understand that you are one with the divine and that power is consciously working through you and you've established your vision. Most of us have not established that vision, that thing that is being called forth from our heart that would set us on fire, that would be our joy. D. Martini would say, do what you love and love what you do. But have you found what you love? Because if you found what you love, then it becomes the natural tendency to only talk about that, to only explore that, to only express that, to only act as that, to only be with people that support it. Many times you hear great teachers talk about, if you got a dream, don't tell people. Keep your dream to yourself, because what do people do? They take out those Texas guns and they shoot those dreams dead. Because it doesn't fit their paradigm. Remember, most people are not aware. So if you're going to step out into the world from a state of awareness, you've got to realize that your dream is special to one person in the world, and it's you. And you guard that dream. You nourish that dream. You feed that dream. You don't allow anything into the soil that is growing that dream that you feel will hurt that plant growing. That's a pretty profound thing to consider. So what does that mean? It's going to mean this: if you start doing that, people are going to fall out of your life. It's going to be very clear. People are going to fall out of your life. I've had almost everyone in my life fall away since I started on this process. And they will be replaced by people who will love and support you the way you are, the way you want to be. The other thing is we've got habits of doing things: how we eat, what we drink, what we do, what we watch. All of a sudden, if we get clear, we start asking questions about that. So I want to share with you one of the things that's happened is we talk about that disease is really a process of the mind. That everything starts with a thought. That's the basic premise of everything we teach. Thoughts create things, and you cannot separate thoughts from things. So if you have a demonstration of a cold, the consensus is it's a demonstration of a lack of clarity, okay? There's a fuzziness going on in your mind, and so it's demonstrating in a fuzziness in your body. And a lot of people have written a lot of books about this. So it came Thursday, all of a sudden I started noticing the appearance of what one might consider a cold. I immediately said, so what am I fuzzy about? And then I remembered that Wednesday night on Facebook, I clicked on this video, and it was about, this will make you want to eat a vegetarian diet. And I'm a vegan, right? So I don't even know why I would click on it. I already know why I do what I do, because it's right for me. My body feels good as I do it. That's the reason I do what I do. I'm not a proponent of it, but that's what I do. Well, I clicked on this video, and I watched it for 8 seconds, and it was 8 seconds too long. Because it showed how we deal with ducks, and I'm not going to go any further, but I didn't sleep well that night. I have not been able to fully get that out of my mind, because the question I asked myself, is this a higher expression of love? I went back to that question. Then I asked the question, what is mine to do? And I'm puzzled with that. I know how I'm living is in alignment with love. But am I to be an activist? Am I to say something about that? And I guess what I'm doing is I'm saying it right now. I'm saying it to you, so I'm asking you to be conscious of everything around you and everything that you support, and ask the question, is this for more love? The other thing that happened for me that was going on at the same time is I have my sister who's visiting my beautiful father in Maui right now, and my brother lives there, and there's a bit of a family thing going on. I don't need to go into the details. Well, I'm the so-called, probably the peacemaker in the group. And with all that confusion and this going there, I said, oh. So I immediately, once I got that, I could treat cause. When I say treat, I mean pray for. I mean to shift my thought process about it. You see, anything we say or do or that's directing our mind toward what we want, that's prayer. Prayer is not some fancy formula, and we do teach a form of prayer. We teach spiritual mind treatment. It's a very scientific way of doing our prayer, but it's not the only way. You can say, it is done. And if you believe it with conviction and know your power, that's a prayer. You can say, I desire to be 10 pounds lighter, and you believe it and you know it, that's a prayer. You put it into law, not as a request, you put it into law as a command. Because what happens, the subconscious mind kicks the dude off and says, you ain't whispering to me, it's going to take 10 months. You ain't whispering in my ear, it's going to be difficult. You ain't whispering all these things. I've commanded the law, which knows nothing against it, and it will generate that into my life. And as I believe that, that's how the demonstration comes forth. You see, this is about self-mastery. Self-mastery is the aspect of recognizing who we are, using the power that exists everywhere toward our own goal, asking the question, is it for more love? That's the key question of everything. I wouldn't do anything if it didn't answer the question for more love, and the answer, yes. Now, I'm not that conscious yet. I want you to know that that man climbs in and off of my head. And that will happen for all of us. It's not something that you get to a state of what we would call enlightenment overnight. You don't get there because the human experience is about going in and out of contrast. And why do we have contrast? It's very simple. Contrast causes us to build new or deeper desires so that we can create more. You see, we are creative machines. That's who we are. We're here to create. But what we've done on our lives up to this point is we've unconsciously created. Now what we're saying, let's consciously create by embracing the power within and becoming masters of this process within our own mind. So why do we come together in community? We come together in community to be supported in this, not to be judged. There's a big difference. When you come to Agape, no one's going to question your dream. No one's going to say that's unreasonable. People here, if you ask for prayer at Agape, people will walk up and say, yes, I'll pray for that. I don't care what it is. I'll pray for that. I'll know that truth for you. And you see, that's all prayer is. It's knowing the truth for someone else. Because sometimes it may be difficult. In our humanness, it may be difficult to know that truth in that moment, but you know someone who you think would know it, that's the person you want praying for you. Because that person can see through the illusion of the experience. Do you see, the experience is an illusion. So what is a true practitioner doing, or minister? They're looking in through the illusion and seeing the divine, and seeing there's a power right there, an infinite power, and knowing that that power can shift the illusion, can shift the experience like this. And in that, by doing so, having the faith in the person to see that, you'll have the demonstration. Why? Because there's only one mind. There's one mind that is everywhere present. It's God's mind. It is perfect, and it creates all things. And what is known in one part of the mind of God is known in all parts of the mind of God. So if I can know a truth for Jean that she cannot see, but she desires it, and she knows that I see it, and she has the belief and conviction and my belief and conviction, she'll have that demonstration. She will experience that in her lives. Now, because it was in the belief in me, that prayer will be a short-term prayer. Why? Because it's her belief that will keep it going. She has to shift her belief as I pray and hold it. She can have the experience, but if she doesn't shift her belief, eventually what happens? She goes back to the old mental atmosphere. And when the old mental atmosphere, what comes back? The same experience. That's why you hear people who go to the doctors that have healed of disease and then have relapse after relapse, because they've never gotten to cause. Cause is always a mental atmosphere. It's always a thought process. And most of the time, it's a thought process that is unknown to us. It's an unconscious thought that's been implanted so deep for so long that we don't even know it exists. And the way to quickly get it is you don't have to figure out what that thought is. You just have to plant a new thought that's in the direction of you want and keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And that's why we talk about spiritual practice at Agape. Spiritual practice at Agape is recognizing the power of God within you, and then it is taking the steps to change your mental atmosphere through prayer, affirmations, forgiveness, gratitude, visualization, visioning. We can go on and on with those tools. You can use neurolinguistic programming. There are so many tools out there to shift the subconscious mind, and not one is better than the other, but what is the one that you resonate with? What is the one that you feel comfortable doing? And maybe it's a stepping stone. Maybe I start with this and then I move to this. I'll share with you that in meditation, for me at first it was guided meditations. I couldn't sit with my mind. There was no way I could sit for 2 minutes. So I did guided meditations for years. Now I'm at the point where I can sit. I can sit for an hour. And let me tell you what my mind does. It is playing tricks on me most every second. It wants to take control back. It's that man up there again. He's on my mind and he's whispering all these thoughts. Well, you can't do that, this. And you just get a moment and you breathe in, and I'll go, I am. And I just keep repeating that. And the more I'm able to focus on those words and that breath, my thoughts slow down, and then I hear just that. The second I've heard just that, I've stopped the monkey mind. I have told the mind it is not in control, but the observer that I am is now back in charge. And the observer says, no more. And that's why I talk about after finishing meditations, it's real important to plant that new thought. That's why I suggest taking our prayer beads and taking one affirmation that you truly love and say it 108 times, because the ground that you're saying it into is fertile. You've cleared out all the weeds. You've cleared out everything that is unlike a fertile territory, and now you plant that in, and you've given it the best possibility for growth. And when you do that over and over again, you see, it's a daily practice. It's not a weekly practice. It's not a monthly practice. Because guess what? That man or woman is waiting. The second you stop doing your practice, what are they going to do? They're jumping right back on your head, and they're going to start whispering again. And so your role is to go into spiritual practice and be the observer and keep them off. They'll be there, and you just have to say, that's not my truth. You see, when you have a thought that doesn't resonate, that's not my truth. I know who I am. I no longer accept that into my life. The key thing is, you've got to now start doubting everything you believe. Did you hear that? You have to question everything that you believe to come up with what really works for you. Plato said this. This is one of my favorite quotes from Plato, and I'm going to take liberty in how I say it. But Plato says, every day, empty your mind of all thoughts, and then take these thoughts one by one and examine them. And if they are serving you today, put them back in. But if they're no longer serving you, let them go. That's what we do with meditation, affirmations, prayer, gratitude, and forgiveness on a daily basis. We're simply building the practice that Plato talked about doing. So, self-mastery. Anyone can do it. Everyone here has the power to master their mind. Everyone here is empowered to be the greatest creator that the planet has ever known. The power's always been with you. It's not that you're going to find it. It's there. You just have to awaken to it. You've been using it all of your lives. All of your lives you've been using it. The question is, are you now going to choose? Are you going to choose to use it to do what you love? And when you do that, are you going to love what you do? I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.